Welcome back, Pirate Crew. It's your Captain Yeehaw Yadam, and for today's video, we're going to go ahead and watch over one of our games from the Arlington Regional. Now, this was a round 4 game where I went ahead and played against Eustace Captain Kid. For those of you that know me, you know I don't love this matchup, but I was blessed by playing 3 of them today. So I'm going to run you down just this matchup. You can find this video on 3 Swords Productions. They have their little thingy right here. I hope that they're okay with me going ahead and commentating over the game. So we have here the Eustace won the, I believe the Eustace won the die roll, opted to go first, and went Beji. Now, Beji is a pretty okay starter, right? If they want to go ahead and develop like an Okiku next turn, it's really scary for me because then Okiku gets to kind of go at my board. And unless I have 2 possible threats to go at it, it's going to be very difficult for me to clear the Okiku. Now, from this angle, I know I can now see the Eustace player's hand. So hopefully that gives me a little bit more insight because right here I have like an, it's a fine start, starting with Nami, finding a Luffy. Luffy is very important in this matchup because it's very similar to what it used to be back in the day. If they play the A-drop kid, Luffy is my out to the A-drop. I just go ahead and leave him in a position that can't be rested. Like he's just regular, sitting, waiting, pondering. And when my opponent plays the A-drop, I just all in it. And he has to give me his entire hand, and then I just do it again next turn, and that should put me in a winning position. So he goes and attacks for 5. I accept. If you look at my hand, there's not a lot of counter power, but expecting the game to be just a little bit slow, I went ahead and thought, you know what, maybe I'll get some time to go ahead and do that. So he drops a Sachi. Now, Sachi's a card that is not easily KO'd by like a Vista or anything like that. And not that I have a Vista, but it's just a very sticky card. Now, I drew Gum Gum Red Hawk for turn. I thought to myself, well, this Sachi is going to be handled by the Hawk. I just need to go ahead and maybe not deal with it this turn, but I'll deal with it in a subsequent turn. So I'll go ahead and summon Nico Robin. And I already declared the 6, which is, a mistake, but I meant to say 7. I just attached the Dawn for leader, put one more 7. He takes it anyway, so it's kind of irrelevant. And keeping one up may put him on his toes. I don't know. But we go ahead and swing for 6, and he takes. Usually in this matchup, green can afford to take very, very aggressively and just kind of try to beat me on the board. Now, he has another Sachi that drew here, a Law and a Nekomamushi, and he could opt to go ahead and fight for board here, but he opts not to. He falls into a fallacy. It was, we were talking here, obviously, you're in an in-person event, I draw a Whitebeard, let's get it. And like, you can get into situations where, like, you're talking to your opponent and you can see what they're talking about. He dumps a Punk Gibson, swings for 7 again, I accept it again, I get a Rad Beam here. So I'm down to 2 life super quickly, but he pitched a card in hand and made me draw 3, in a sense, right? So I know that my turn is going to be, it has to be aggressive now. He's down on hand size, but he does have a lot of counter power in hand. There are a bunch of 1Ks. He has no Dawn up. He has a Law and a Punk Gibson that are bricks in his hand, and he has 3 1Ks. So as long as I attack him for base numbers, it should be pretty okay. So I swing Nico Robin by attaching 1 Dawn, popping the Beji, and going 5 at lead. Now, usually, once again, Eustace Captain Kid accepts all these hits because their game plan is protect the A-drop. I give him an A-drop out of life. I go 5 again. If he took the first 5, maybe he'll take the second 5. And then I'm just waiting to see what he does here. He drops a Nekomamushi, gives me a 1K. Now he's left to 2 1Ks in hand. I have a Nami and 5 Dawn available. So I opt to go Zoro here. I'll use leader ability, swing 6. And then I wanted to leave up 2 for the Gum Gum Red Hawk right here, so I can then take the Sachi. But then when he removes the Sachi from the board, I thought to myself, well, if he's removing Sachi, then let's get even more aggressive, right? So I go ahead and I think I drop a Makino here. Makino's going to boost the Nami, and I opt to go 6 at lead again. Now 6 at lead is just this. When he took the block on the 6, it made me believe, well, he doesn't have any 2Ks in hand, so if he took the 6 this time, take it again. But this is really, really scary because if he opts to just again do what he's been doing and just go to dual attack at my leader, then I'll be in a really bad spot. He's at 7 Dawn here, and he doesn't really have a lot going for him. He has a Bonnie, a Momo, and a Law, which his turn could be like deploy a Momo, then Law it back, and like it just doesn't really get you there. My board is completely stacked with characters, and if he chooses to play the long game, just looking at the board state, he's gonna go ahead and lose. And I think my opponent does a really good job at deciphering that, and he's like, well, I can't win the long game, so I'm just gonna chuck my attacks at face and hope that that's enough. So he's considering how his Dawn placement is here. He goes ahead and puts 2 on lead, goes 7 at lead, because he wants to keep up 2 for a Punk Gibson, right? So he swings 7, which now he leaves 5 up, and I think to myself, he's going to pay 3, attack again, keep up Punk. Or is he going to play like a Law and his hand's just bricked up? Like, I didn't really know what was happening at this time, but I don't think I can just keep accepting these 7s. It's really, really scary to go down this line. So I go ahead and defend this, and then he pays 3 and pitches another card, pitches the Eustace Captain Kid. So I know immediately that that's not going to be the game plan. I accept this one. No trigger. It's just my hand is like not counter powered. That isn't event. So I have the Gum Gum Red Hawk. I do have the Love Beam. So we're going to have to use those cards to actively win the game here. My opponent goes and restarts his turn with the 2 Dawn up, and he has the Punk Gibson, a brick, and then 3 1K. So I just have to just hit him for base, and then he has to give me everything. If I would just pushed a little higher, maybe like 6s would have been good enough, as 6s were going very, very well for me. But I'm just going to use Makino's effect here just to get a free card out of his hand. Now I am at 9, I think 8 Dawn here. 8 Dawn isn't Whitebeard time just yet. Opt to go 5 here. And he definitely goes and punks, because there's no reason why you wouldn't punk the Zoro here. And then that just lets me go, Luffy push this turn, right? So he'll go ahead and punk Gibson, rest Zoro. Now my leader just needs to deal damage here. And I'm thinking to myself, well, there's 2 lines of play. I still have the Luffy in hand, and I can go Luffy him right here, which is exactly 6-6. And as he's been defending the 5s, he dropped a 1K. He hasn't showed that he has 2Ks in hand. If I go 6-6 here, then he's going to be in a really bad spot. Or I can go 5-7 and keep up 1 Dawn, right? I have 6 still available to me, I believe, or 7. Yeah, I still have 7 available. I just opt for the 9 here because I want him to take the damage, and then I want Luffy to finish off the game next turn. But this isn't a exactly great play. I wanted to leave up 3 Dawn here to make sure that it was impossible for me to lose the game, but I couldn't leave up 3 Dawn and play the Luffy, which is the reason that I had like an issue during this turn. But hindsight 2020, I should just run the Luffy out here and just go 5, probably 5 with lead, 7 with the Luffy is the same scenario, and I'm able to still keep one up for a Radical Beam. If he opts to go all in here, then I'm pretty sure, because he's at 9 Dawn, the most that he can possibly do is 11-11, and Rad Beam's already 9. Then I have to go 2K, 1K, and I'm out of there, which I do believe I have in hand, but I can't remember. We'll see my hand in a second. My hand looks super duper thick, so from this standpoint, if you're the Eustace player, you're like turbo doomed, right? But he opts to go for it anyways. He goes for the 9 here, which, like I said, I do have a way to get out of it. I do have a 1K, a 2K. I opt to go the Love Beam here, and 1K. Yep, and then I'm going to make him go ahead and pitch the 3, and he pitches Law and does it again, leaving all the combo power in his hand. Now I just don't have a 1K or a 2K. So unless this last card in life is a reasonable card, then I wouldn't be able to really get out of it. And I don't think it was like a 2K. So had I taken that damage, I think I actually would have just lost the game if he would have like all into me. Which is really, really funny. But it just is what it is. So it goes back to my turn. I know that I'm at 0 life, and next turn I have to deal with a 12-12. And I don't think I can counter out of that. So I have to find a way to finish this game right now. He is at 1 life with 2 up, right? So I go 5 at lead. And he has punked me. He did pitch a punk and play a punk. So he's already used 2 Punk Gibson, so hopefully he doesn't necessarily have it. But he has a bunch of cards in his hand. And funnily enough, they're all counter power. So I'll go 5 here. 5. But 5s were definitely not the way to go. If I just gave him like a couple 6s here, I should have just checked him, and he would have like been able to either give me his entire hand or just take the damage. I go 7 here to see, like, if you have Punk Gibson, you have to Punk Gibson right here. But he'll go 2K, 1K, leaving 1 final card in his hand. And then I think to myself, well, give me a second, give me a refresher. Let me read Punk Gibson real quick. Because Punk Gibson is it rests a specific costed amount. So I have a Zoro and I have a Luffy in hand, and I might not need both, right? Because that 1 card in hand, if I swing for 7 and he takes it, then we're just absolutely fine. So I have to read the Punk Gibson to see if it rests a Zoro, or if it can even rest the Luffy. So I see here that it can only rest a 4 cost or lower. So I play the Luffy. I'll use leader ability, which this is going to trigger interaction. I thought this was Punk Gibson. It was actually a 1K, which puts me, now he's down to 0 cards in hand, and not great, because if I would have just been able to just swing with the Luffy, trigger Punk Gibson, and then go Zoro all in, it was over for my opponent. So I'm gonna go here and go Zoro instead, because he has no cards in hand. He has to take it, and then if that's a 2K, I lose. But fortunately, It was a 1K, and we were able to get out of it. Upon Gibson in life, there was a lot of ways I lose that game, but it's not a game that I should necessarily lose, even though it looks very, very sketchy. I had like 8 or 9 cards in hand, and unfortunately for myself, but fortunately for my opponent, this was a game plan where he could actually potentially win. He was able to denote that, you know, I'm not winning the board state, and if I just drop an A drop here, it's not going to do anything. I'm just going to be able to immediately outer it, and if I play the long game versus this Luffy player, he's just going to whitebeard me, right? And then that would have been his demise. So noticing that he had to play this specific game and turn on the gas was excellent from my opponent. Not only that, he really checked me. I didn't have any counter power for the majority of the game. It was all just fluff. My hand was just non-counter powered cards. Luffy, or at least in my specific list, played 20 something odd bricks. And if I didn't have the cards, then I do lose the game. But fortunately enough, we were at least able to get it out of there. I think there was a couple of mistakes in terms of Dawn placement that I did. I could have attacked for better numbers just by the way that he was playing. I should have known to attack for bigger numbers, but the fact that he left up Dawn in a weird way kind of made me play on edge. And obviously, playing on stream isn't exactly fun because you're already in your own head, and now you have to worry about at least doing well on stream. But this is a cool game to notice. It's not a strategy that you see very, very often, but seeing Eustace come back to the meta and people just immediately adapting to those game states that they saw in OPO1 is really, really good. These decks from OPO1 that people just have a lot of understanding, a lot of knowledge from, since they've been out for the game longer, allows people to know these game states and be like, oh, from this point I need to do this to give me my only chance of winning. Go from like a 20% win rate to like maybe a 35%. Which is exactly what he did here, and that's why I wanted to go ahead and showcase this game. So I hope you guys like this sort of content. Make sure to leave a like down below if you like it. Comment if you think I made any other misplays, which, you know, that's a possibility. And as always, guys, if you like this stuff and you want to keep adding on to it and possibly joining the Pirate Crew for more One Piece TCG content, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one, brother. Peace.